Ah. Sendius, I suppose. Nothing comes to my mind, my friend. I hope that our paths...
Shiny. You... An accident. Really? I promise. Oh, speaking of... I suppose my pup I spent in after I remember I suppose anyway. What? You've been here with good people. My friend Georgius has always met. Well, I'm just saying. Oh. Thanks. And I like your teeth. They're so white. And I'm sure he'd love to chatter about the Golden Rule. He'll be just across the forum. All right.
Greetings and salutations.
Hey.
Have Wendy in so if we have it does, doesn't it? For even if 99% of us adopt this principle, sadly, no matter how well we protect ourselves, the life's work of many good people can be... But on a lighter note, for all their grim and haunting poses, these golden statues do make nothing. I hope...
Sometimes I stare at the great temple on the bluff, and I think... Ah, a new face. I hear... Well, oh, I'm back. Well, or it could mean that there were Greeks living and who really built this place. And if only there was a way we could... Of course. You would there, but... Oh, they weren't nearly as... I mean, which me and I'm pretty... Good, the first... Well, Cynthia seems to know what he's... My vote isn't for sale. If... Nice to talk.
Harvey again. Certainly. May Fortuna guide you. Although you... Harvey. It must be completed by dusk. It'll be between Sentius, the Why do you...
all of the male citizens who are willing and able to attend, unless they're running, of course. That's just the way it's always been, I'm afraid. There are some women who can vote, Vestal priestesses like myself, but in this case, given my role overseeing the election, I've decided to abstain. I can't allow the perception that I'm being anything but fair and independent, but if it's any consolation, there are other ways. By using whatever gifts the god... Certainly. See you again.
Hello? Hello? My name's... Do you like it? It's shiny and... But... If I... Well... If you get me out of here... Like... Galerius... Yeah, Galerius will let me out. Then you can have my plaque, and everyone will be... You're going to let me out of here? Oh. Please. Galerius already tried that. Like... If you... Hannibal... Bye-bye. Hello. Gold? You mean... My friend Hannibal used to look after me. He said, if anything ever happened, he gave me this key and made me promise to keep it safe until I found the treasure. But I couldn't find it. All I remember is he said something about the cisterns. But when I went up to the high one, now nobody looks after me. Except my friend Galerius. Bye-bye.
Ah, a visitor. Welcome. Tell me. Ah, yes, that curse. I will tell you everything I know, but first, a request. The one thing I long for above all, let us find out with this simple question. Excellent. I see you are indeed quite astute. Very few come to that realization. Now, will you join me in a friend? Wonderful. Then let me begin. Would you say you know the difference? You are an overthinker too. We're the same then. But if you struggle with right and wrong normally, then down here with the golden rule, surely... Well, that's reassuring. And the truth is, you're not alone. You see, out there in the world, being uncertain about right and wrong was acceptable, because our mistakes rarely had consequences. So we would tell lies and bend rules and turn a blind eye and rationalize, and yet still find a way to think of ourselves. But under the golden rule, morality matters. The slightest wrongdoing could result in a mass execution. So to navigate this maze, we would have to be certain about the difference between right and wrong. Wouldn't you agree? That is an excellent question, and it leads directly. So let me ask you this. Is there one system of morality which is always perfectly correct, which you could follow in every situation and always do the right thing? Are you sure? Or is it possible that humans simply have... After hundreds of years, and as many great thinkers dedicating their lives to these questions, what hope do we have if our best and brightest haven't been able to answer them? My point is this. I don't think anyone alive truly knows any hard and fast rules about right and wrong. If there is one thing I have observed about rules, it is that virtuous people do not need them, and evil people will always find a way around them. And so we must accept our limitations, and the sad truth that no human society will ever achieve the utopia for which it strives. In mathematics, we would call it an asymptote, a line that can be approached but never reached. Because the only way to create a utopia is with the ever-present threat of force, such as the Golden Rule. This and no other is the root from which a tyrant springs when he first appears as a protector. And life under tyranny is no utopia at all. I'm glad to hear that. In any case, thank you for humoring an old man. I would be happy to answer your questions. You mean, how did I end up living alone in this cave with nothing but these relics of the past for company? It's a long story. I was a quarrelsome young man. At 19, I left Corinth for Rome to study rhetoric at one of her finest academies, so I could argue more forcefully. Back then, I used to enjoy verbally sparring with everyone I could, and I was good. One night I found myself in it. It became heated, he drew a gladius, and I won the argument. I woke up on the banks of the Styx at a campfire opposite Karen. Of course, I tried to persuade her to let me return, but even with all my skill, I failed. I settled in, made friends, and learned what I could, quickly realizing our little community faced certain death under the Golden Rule. So I began looking for a place to hide underground. Fortunately, I found this place waiting for me. You see, I returned to my friends above, persuaded them to join me, and 12 of us descended for the last time to live out our days hidden from Hades' tyranny. They are one and the same. The Romans call him Pluto, but long before that, my people called him Hades. My generation was wiped out, turned to gold, many years ago. My friends and I were able to avoid the same fate by hiding down. I think it's safest to assume that if I was to return, Hades would realize that his furies hadn't finished the job, and he'd send them after me again. I fear that if you were to utter my name in the city, even by mistake, that Hades would hear you and know I am still alive. I'm afraid I am the only one left. There were 12 of us in the beginning, but one by one, my friends passed away. Some from malnutrition, others from madness. It has been lonely. Before my unexpected visit from Kabash some weeks ago, I'd not seen another person in many, many years. Living in darkness is not without its challenges. The first challenge is diet. Fortunately, I found that eating fresh fish provides. And sometimes, when there are Greek people living up above, I surface at night and salvage the offerings they've left in the temple of Demeter. The greater challenge is the isolation, so I like to imagine arguments where I argue both sides. But, like so many things in life, arguments are better with a partner. As you wish. Ha! If I did, would I? Did we not discuss it at length already? Oh, I see. You seek the plaque bearing the Egyptian in. It is a cursed object, and I would be happy to give it to you, if Kabash had. I will tell you, but you may find him hostile. To prepare for your encounter, there are very few know this, but before the Romans came to this city, it was once entirely... When the Romans came, in typical fashion, they claimed it as their own, built over everything that could be built over. Thus, the shrine of Persephone became the shrine of Proserpina. And when they found an obelisk bearing the name Hades, they tore it off and replaced it with Pluto instead. And the city's dwindling Greek residents, witnessing this compulsive Roman conquest, decided to preserve what they could. They gathered their art and valuables, secreted them away through the Temple of Demeter, and hid them here, out of reach of the Romans. I'm getting to that. You see, it was among these old Greek relics that I found the thing you seek. An even older plaque bearing an Egyptian inscription. We had no idea until years later, As a result of their deaths, we began to dig catacombs branching off from this cavern to lay them to rest. We extended the tunnel so far that we accidentally discovered another, an even older tunnel, which somebody had gone to great lengths to keep hidden. Suddenly it made sense why there was an out-of-place Egyptian plaque among our people's possessions. You see, we proud Greeks had thought the Romans beasts for stealing and corrupting our heritage. But it turns out this game has been going on much longer than any of us imagined. I think it is best you head through the catacombs and follow Kabash's trail. There are certain things you must see for yourself. Take this key. You'll need... I enjoyed our chat, but please, keep my presence here a secret, yes?
Stop! Do not come any closer. Who are you? I am Kabash. And let me guess, another Greek or Roman come to loot and plunder the resting place of my ancestors, Trousers, boots, curious here. No, I suppose you do not. Then what do you want? To what end? That is welcome news. I was planning to return it myself, but for now, I must remain. Here, take it, and restore the honor of Osiris. Now, as for the other plaque. Indeed, I have it right here. I stumbled across a collection of dusty curiosities while searching for a place to hide from the hungry children of Amit, and there it was. You may not. In fact, I am about to destroy it. Because it speaks a treacherous I will tell you, but first. Indeed, and I see you know our history. See what has become of it. I have been down here for weeks, piecing together its story, and here is what I have learned. As Egypt declined and the Greeks had their turn to flourish, their souls came here in great numbers. But instead of when they found the obelisk bearing the name Osiris, the true god of the underworld, they desecrated it, removing even the ferryman of the dead, known to my people long before as Kerti. They renamed to, as if that desecration was not enough. They built over this place, using it as the foundation for their own underworld, so that ours was for... My only solace is that the Greeks then suffered the same fate when the Romans rose to power, renaming Hades to Pluto, and the cycle began anew. I am glad to hear it, which brings me... It is inscribed with a script I do not recognize, but it is ancient, almost as if it is older than the plaque bearing Osiris's name. But if that is so, it would imply the gods of Egypt are mere imitations too, copied and corrupted from an ancient, and that my people did to them what the Greeks and Romans did to us. But this I cannot accept. I sense a deception. Perhaps it is the work of Set, the usurper, seeking to undermine us. You will never know. This work of sacrilege must be destroyed, thrown into the... You are too late. It is done. You would plunge into the depths of the Duat with no way back up. If it will help you to see reason, then I am from Rakotis, which you may know as Alexandria, the name of the city the Greeks built over it. I was a fisherman, like my father before me. Since the Romans had taken over from the Greeks, I took the opportunity to learn Latin and eventually traveled to Rome. When the fires broke out last year, I tried to help. I gathered terrified locals into my boat and led many of them to safety. On my 7th trip, a passenger demanded I wait for his brother. But we were full to almost sinking, and I told him his brother would have to save himself. And he tried to bribe me by placing a coin into my hand. When I awoke on the banks of the river to a stranger wearing a ram headdress. He said his name was... It did not dawn on me until much later that he was the Kirti, the ram-headed. This is where I belong, as caretaker of the memories of my people. If our ways are to be remembered, I think if someone is to break the golden rule, it will not be me, for I try to live as I always have by the command of the goddess Ma'at. Do to the doer to make him do. As for the punishment that will come from it, I finally understand why it has long been said among my people that gold is the skin of the gods. I do not know. What could possibly lie beneath the underworld? Perhaps it is infinite darkness. All I know is, it would be unwise to... Most unwise. Good. Be gone from this place. Wait. You are planning... You would plunge into the depths of the... we sh... Beware the children of Amit. When I told you that you would not find a way back up, that was not a prediction. That was a promise. You will die here. I disagree. I warned you against coming down here. You have undermined and dishonored the true god of the underworld. How did you think this would end, if not with bloodshed? Very well, I will listen. But if I sense deception, or if you further, why should I let you live after you salvaged? Then you admit it. You wish to. Many of my ancestors endured great hardship to live good lives so that we may descend to the Duat in death. We prepare to have our hearts weighed on Anubis' scales and to swear ourselves innocent of sin before the 42 assessors of. And yet, I arrive here to find the Book of the Dead contained only a seed of truth. And now I ask myself, did our priests steal and embellish the stories of an older people and feed us lies all our lives simply to trick us into obedience? Blasphemer! You have sealed your... Ha, good. I welcome it. You see, the philosopher told me that each time it breaks, Osiris bellows with rage, and his voice shakes the very foundations of the earth. I can only hope one more tremor will lay waste to this fragile place once and for...
The many shall suffer for the sins of the one.
When I told you that you... Very well. Why should I let you? Why? To what end? But that makes no sense. How would it honor him to place false... Now that I think about it, my people would sometimes call Osiris but the underworld of my people is so different to this one, and so unlike the way it was described by our priests. Many of my ancestors endured great hardship to live good lives so that we may descend. We prepare to have our hearts weighed on Anubis' scales and to swear ourselves innocent. And yet, I arrive here to find the Book of the Dead contained only a seed of truth. Did our priests... I am not sure. Now you insult me and all of you have... Good, I can...
The many shall suffer for the sins of the one.
When I told you... Why? But why? What business? Blasphemous fool! You have... I can...
The many shall suffer for the sins of the one.
With that you... are... Why? But why? Blasphemous fool! You...
The many shall suffer for the sins of the one.